Hey guys, David here, and I'm not bothering to do an intro on this one. I just want to get into it. I realised that it's been probably 2, maybe 3 weeks since I've even put paint to brush, and the crafting muse just has not been with me, and I do need to get back into it. Where are we at? So this is Konflikt 47 stuff. This is the British Commonwealth vehicles that come in their starter set. I have already given them 2 undercoats. There was a grey on top and a black sort of like on the underneath to get that shadowing effect, and I have gone over again with a dark taupe paint. These ones are eventually going to be camouflaged, but before I do that I do want to do a little bit of a highlight, and I hope this is gonna work. This is Game Colour Leather Brown, large makeup brush, and we'll get some highlights on here, and hopefully it's going to work out okay. Is that bringing it out? Yeah, that's giving a bit of contrast there. Might be a bit too much pigment, but yeah, we shall see. Alright, I'll crack on and get these done. So while those vehicles are off having a dry, because I do want that paint dried very thoroughly before the next step on them, we may as well get on with the infantry. And again, I'm going to be using speed paints on these exactly the same way that I did on the first lot of infantry that I got, but these do need a dry brush as well. And while I've got them here, I may as well give them a quick base coat, and I'm doing these the same colour that I did the last batch of infantry, and this is Desolate Brown, even though it looks really green. Just get that all onto the uniform like that. Missed a bit in the hand there. Okay, the infantry has all been base coated. I'll come back to them later on, but I desperately want to get this next part done before I lose the light, because these vehicle bits are going to get hit with a spray coat of olive drab. But to get that camouflage effect, and this is off-brand blue tack, not plasticine, what I am going to do is pop that on in areas as a sort of, well, kind of like masking tape. And I'm using blue tack because that comes off far quicker and far easier. I'll get this all masked off, and then we'll hit it with a spray paint. And there it is, all blue tacked up, ready for its green coat. And I'm adding this talky bit in the middle because things did not necessarily go according to plan. That was all filmed basically over a week ago, and I did get the green coat on, but almost as soon as I was applying the paint, it started blistering. I've had this once before, and I'm not certain whether or not it's because I'm using sort of like a gloss coat over an acrylic, or an alcohol based spray over an acrylic, and it was all just starting to lift, and I just stopped it there and didn't realistically have time to do a great deal about it. Allowed it to dry. This is what it looks like now. As you can see, there is that crazing on it. I've got a bit more of a close-up for you. I wanted to allow it time to dry properly so that I could see whether or not I could actually resurrect it, and whether or not I would just have to strip it all and start again from scratch, which I really did not want to do. As it turns out, that sort of lifting of the paint, it was far worse when it was first going on. It was really sort of like petalling up, but it has calmed down, and I do think that I can get away with it. It's not going to be the smoothest paint job, but at, you know, Wargaming's board distance, it should be fine. So I will carry on with doing that a bit later on in this video, because like I say, that was all filmed about a week ago, and a load has happened since then. So let's get you caught up. So in the intervening time, I had another one of those work trips. Now, this time the weather was not brilliant. Thankfully, I just managed to miss the huge deluge of thunderstorms and torrential downpours that were hitting that part of the country. I went in about 24 hours after that had all cleared up. So this was at the top of the South Island of New Zealand, and the places that I was visiting were two towns called Motueka and Blenheim. Now, I went to Motueka first. I didn't get a huge chance to look around. Things did not go brilliantly with the job, and I was working way past deadline. It was a really, really long day, that one. However, I did manage to meet some people who actually had a games club. It's on hiatus at the moment, but I will give them a shout out here. I'll show their logo up there. So if you are up in the sort of Nelson Motueka area, these guys are going to be apparently coming back online soon, so do keep an eye out in local advertisements or game shops or whatever it is, however it is that they're going to be advertising it. Really nice folks. I didn't meet the son who is the DM of their group, but there you go. You find gamers all over the place in the most unlikely places. The next day I was about 2.5 hours drive away from Motueka in Blenheim. Now Blenheim is on the main road up through the South Island and is kind of the last big township before you hit the ferry that takes you between the North and South Island. Couple of game stores there. I did not get the chance to go to all of them. In fact, I only got the chance to go to one. And I was thinking about taking footage, but I thought I would scope it out first, and I decided not to. It was one I had not heard of before, and it was actually quite strange because it was integrated in with a flower and pet store. So that's a little bit of a concoction. It was not wargaming as such. It was more modelling and an awful lot of remote control stuff, RC cars, drones, aircraft. Oh my word, I was so tempted, but I knew the wife would kill us. Absolutely massive Spitfire RC. It would have only cost us about $1,000 US, somewhere in the region of about 700 quid, and I couldn't justify it. And like I say, the wife would have killed us. Oh, but I was so tempted. However, it was mainly, apart from the RC stuff, it was essentially, you know, hobby supplies and model kits. Huge amount of Airfix stuff, and just looking along the shelves, it was like, and I had one of those. Oh, and I remember building one of those, and that one was a pain to build, but I didn't end up filming anything in there. Yeah, it was essentially just a small portion of the shop area. If you are into hard scale modelling and RC stuff, certainly well worth a check out. A fair amount of tools, materials, things like that, so it was good in terms of that. Oh, and they did have model railway stuff as well. So yeah, there were some mods and sods that I could have picked up, but I decided against it, which is a shame. The other stores in there were sort of like the big brand ones, and it was like, ah, you've seen one of those, you've seen them all. It had already been a long couple of days, and I really did want to get home. The other exciting thing that happened was a package arrived for me from Nate down in Grumpy Old Man Games in Invercargill. This is hopefully the copy of Interceptor City that I have been looking forward to. So now I at least have something to read. Do I want to just get straight into it, or do I want to keep this for reading on the plane and in hotel rooms when I am doing my next work trip? I don't know. I have to decide. The temptation. So yes, that was exciting. Managed to get in a game of D&D. It is the main game that we have been playing for the past few years, and we now are getting into the end phase. In fact, the DM has said probably about 6 sessions is going to wrap it all up, and it's one of those ones where it's do or die. We either win against a lich, a clerical lich, who can cast magic, or we are essentially going to be enthralled and the DM wins one for a change. Highlight of the game, I have been carrying around, where are you? Sticky Mac Stick. Yes, it's a Harry Potter prop that I made. But Sticky has been, it was something that my rogue character picked up on behalf of the party because it was treasure and it was lying around, and unfortunately it bound itself to me, and it was the phylactery of the Lich's soul. So I have been saddled with that damn thing for God knows how long. We have just finished the ritual to destroy, get rid of it, get me out from under its dominion. Not 100% certain what happened. I do have a apology to make to fellow players and the DM, because yes, I did get a little bit annoyed in the middle of it, trying to work something out with a fellow player, and something happened, or the DM made a move, and it was quite an important one. It could have ended with everything going really badly for us, and because we were otherwise occupied, completely missed it. And yeah, it wasn't to throw me toys out at the cot, but yes, I did say that I was quite annoyed. And hey, at the end of the day, you're supposed to be having fun. Everyone's supposed to be having fun. There shouldn't be that kind of tenseness at the table, and that is on me. So, sorry guys. Anyway, long story short, yes, the Spirit of the Lich did make an appearance. He was getting a little bit nasty about things, but it did get to the very, very final part of it, and it was him and me in a strength contest, and I was essentially having to make strength rolls, and I had to make 10 off the trot. Did manage to fail one, which drew me towards him and almost had me handing the phylactery over to him, which would have been bad all round, but things were going far more in my dice rolling favour, and yes, there may well have been a reasonable amount of taunting going on.
Have a time.
Can't touch this. In fact, even the DM managed to crack a smile at one stage, even though I was being a little bit of a knob, because I was really, including using his phylactery to pick me nose. Yes, we are childish. But from a D&D gaming perspective, probably sort of like the very end, half hour, quarter of an hour of the session was really interesting, because we knew that this was going to be the final battle, going to sort this Lich out. That's it, do or die, and campaign is over, we're going to move on to the new one. In terms of world building for D&D, the DM, I guess, had kind of forgotten that the players are part of a larger world, and we have had an impact through our adventures and heroism on an awful lot of people's lives. And because we knew that this was going to be a nasty big battle, it was a case of, right, what favours can we call in? We know we've got to get from here to here, and he could be sending out his minions. You've possibly heard me talk about the White Talon, or White Claw. They have been sort of like an antagonist of ours. It's a big criminal organisation, we think. We're not 100% certain, but they have been against us since the start and have kind of been sitting there in the background, and their people keep popping up as, you know, enemies or allies or things like that throughout all of the campaign. So there is every possibility that he could call in on them to delay us. We know that we have a set amount of time to get from where we are, gather anything that we need for the final battle, and then get back to where he is before he can create another phylactery, because at the moment we have got the possibility of finishing him off completely. And knowing that these ones could be kind of running interference for him, who can we call on? Well, we're in with druids. How do we get the word out? Druids speak to animals. We've made contact with brownies, we've made contact with elves. Speak to your birds, send the birds out, spread the word, we need help. We've got a barbarian who is now in charge of a portion of a major crime city. She has taken that area over, so we have a quarter of a city that we can potentially call upon because we helped save her family. And if she comes calling, is she going to summon the Horde? And it's going to be well, she's half orc. It's going to be greenskins that are going to be protecting us for a change, as opposed to, us battling against them. So all of these kind of things, what can we call in? What have we done throughout the course of all of these years? And this was kind of the point where the DM's face was like, uh-oh. So that, in terms of campaign game, is something that was actually quite notable. Just do remember, when you're playing games like D&D, your characters do some good. Maybe you can call in a favour. All of that aside, to top it all off, I got a message from Kate. Now, I haven't seen Kate in quite a while. Kate would like a game of something this weekend, which means that I really do need to stop filming this, get back to those Konflikt 47 things, and see whether or not I can resurrect that paint job on the walker and on the light vehicle, get them on the table. Let's see whether or not this weekend I can have my first ever game of Konflikt 47. Back to the paints. Right, I've put the troops off to one side because I do want to concentrate on these vehicles. And as you can see, I have kept the blue tack on because I don't want to, while I'm dry brushing, accidentally go over onto the brown, which has hopefully stayed intact underneath there. And if you remember, in the last sort of vlog video that I did when I was down in Invercargill, I did grab, Dunedin, I did grab some camo green, and that is what I am going to use for some highlights on this. And here is hoping that it is all going to work. Now, I'm not going to do a massively deep highlight on this in the way I've sort of done, I guess, with miniatures like this. I don't want to pick up any of that crazing that was on there, so it is just going to be over kind of the highlights, and that might still be a wee bit much. I don't know, I can get away with it, sort of more with a kind of an overbrush effect. Yeah, it's kind of picking it out. And obviously there's going to be a fair amount of spot colour that I have to pick out on these, probably in darks and metallics. But I'll get on with the rest of these, and then we will do the big reveal and see whether or not the camo has worked, or I need to strip it all back and start again from scratch. Okay, it is the moment of truth. Dry brushing done on all of that, on all of the vehicles. Let's see what it looks like when I start taking off that blue tack. And is it going to come off easily? And the trick with getting blue tack on that is stuck is to just use other blue tack. Alright, let's get this all cleaned up, but that is already starting to look like a reasonable camo pattern. I am not displeased with the way that is coming out. Let's see what the rest of it looks like. And you know what? As a camo scheme, I am definitely not unhappy with that at all. I think that has come out pretty darn good. I am going to have to double check. There's just the odd place where there may still be a little bit of that sort of up-brand blue tack on, and it hasn't worked perfectly. I'll swap to this one. There's a few places where the blue tack has actually lifted not only the sort of top coat, but it's ripped away the undercoat as well, just there. But that is not unredeemable. Essentially, for areas like that, all I'm going to do is put a bit of grey on, stipple it or around sort of like the raised edges, trace it with bolt gun metal and stipple it with a little bit of new rust, because while these are relatively pristine, because they are actually out in the field, they're going to take the odd ding and knock. A little bit on the leg there, a bit on the foot there, but that is not bad at all. And I think as far as painting goes, I'll probably wrap it up there for this video. Cue the shaky cam for the outro. I am not going to do all the rest of the painting. You've seen me do Galahad troopers before on another video. I'll get them done off camera, because I do want to try and get them done ready for a game with Kate at the weekend, and I'll do the finishing touches on those vehicles as well. So next time I do a vlog style video, you'll see a recap of those. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this, and I've no idea how long it is, it could actually be quite a long one by the time I've done all that talking in the middle of it. If you have enjoyed it, do that social media stuff. Please hit the like and subscribe. Get notifications, because there is more content coming out. There is that whole series on DM advice, and there is more modelling to be done. And I've still got to get that big bot out of the way finally for you guys. I will see you good folks in the very next video. Toodle pip for now.